Check it out. Game Boy classics on TV and in color. Now that's some wild jungle magic. With the power of Super Game Boy, players can work their own magic, turning any Game Boy game into a whole new game experience. Players will be jamming to the big screen action. They'll choose their own colors and design their own borders. Plus, Super Game Boy gives you stereo sounds, so turn it up. It's time to Jungle Boogie! Nintendo is turning up the volume with $8 million in Super Game Boy advertising. Why, it's a massive marketing monsoon that's already begun and will be picking up power now through Christmas, raining Super Game Boy sorcery on kids, teens, and families. Check out the magic in this Super Game Boy TV ad.
It's coming. New Super Game Boy from Nintendo. Play your Game Boy games on TV in living color. Combinations you choose, control, and change. All 350 Game Boy games like new Donkey Kong. New Super Game Boy for SNES. It's a whole new way to play.
With an installed base of 17 million for Game Boy and 15 million for Super NES, with 7 million players owning both, this product has giant potential. Players will go wild rediscovering their collection of handheld games, and that's just the beginning. Super Game Boy has the power to do more. Developers are already going coconuts with creativity, designing new games with Super Game Boy magic in mind. 35 spell-weaving licensee games have already been announced for Game Boy in the second half of 1994, including 23, which will be specially designed to take full advantage of the advanced Super Game Boy technology. And Nintendo has already created the first game to maximize this magic. It's none other than the master of the jungle himself, Donkey Kong for Game Boy. The Beast is back! Play them on your Game Boy while you're cruising the streets, and then play them bigger and in color when you get home using Super Game Boy. It's got custom borders that automatically switch to match game scenes, and specially composed music and sound effects that make use of the Super NES sound processor. Plus 100 levels of screaming jungle action and untamed puzzle challenges. This game is hot. And Nintendo is raising the temperature with an additional $2 million in Donkey Kong advertising, beginning with this TV ad that's sure to rattle some cages.
All right, son, point out the animal that did this to you.
The Beast is back, now with 100 levels of pain. Donkey Kong, new for Game Boy.
Donkey Kong has brought the fever back, and Super Game Boy hasn't. And that's just the first of a whole new generation of Jungle Juice games designed for Super Game Boy. These new games, plus more than 350 existing Game Boy titles, will bring millions of players to the Super NES system. It's new and it's classic. Super Game Boy is a breakthrough crossover wizard who promises to keep Nintendo and you at the top of the video game food chain.
When I got the call from Nintendo, I knew this wasn't going to be any ordinary safari. They said the risks were great, but the rewards were unlimited. So I said, sure, why not? And we set off, in search of incredibly big game for players everywhere. After a long trek and a fast chase that nearly wiped us out, we finally tracked down the elusive and long-awaited Primo racing game. That's right, Stunt Race FX is in the bag. Has it been worth the wait? Just look for yourself. Since we last spotted this game, it's added more cars, more track, more crashing, more variety, and more play value. Following up on the sensational success of Star Fox, Nintendo now introduces the second-generation FX chip. It runs at twice the speed and allows for two-player simultaneous play, like Super Mario Kart, plus more amazing 3D animation. There are 5 ferocious vehicles to choose from, and each has its own unique behavior and handling characteristics. Cars bend and stretch and seem to come alive as they claw for position on these wild, out-of-control courses. All this, plus 4 different play modes, 3 different views, and 24 raucous tracks, makes Stunt Race FX the most sophisticated and challenging race game alive. It's sure to leave Virtua Racing in the dust. Week 2 of the expedition. We made an amazing catch for classic puzzle lovers. Tetris 2, for the first time on Super NES. The lush, vibrant color of the rainforest was the perfect camouflage for the newly enhanced, super vivid graphics and rich sound of this much-loved game. 8 megs of power makes this game come alive with new, colorful environments, strategic explosions, and reward cartoons between levels. Puzzle fans of all ages will go bananas over this advanced sequel to an old favorite. Our journey continued. We wanted even bigger game. Like many others, we had heard tales of a mysterious place that would reveal the secrets of time and the true nature of fantasy. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Then I realized I was in the illusion of Gaia. It's awesome adventure, swashbuckling action, intrigue, fantasy, and challenge. Talk to exotic characters, solve puzzles, and fight monsters. Travel with Will Power as he explores mythical and legendary sites around the globe, where he must uncover mystic icons of a lost age. As Will's powers grow, he learns to transform into Freedan, the Dark Knight, and Shadow, the ultimate warrior. The adventure becomes even more spectacular when the flow of time weaves a future and a past into this far-reaching story, mixing with cunning characters and thrilling action. This huge 16-megabit game holds 3 battery-backed memory slots so 3 different players can save their adventures. If you enjoyed the challenges of the Zelda series, you'll really be dazzled by this jewel of a game. The trek went on. Deep in the unexplored interior of the video game jungle, able to live in the habitat of NES and Super NES, we came upon Wario's Woods, an entirely new species of game. It's half action, half puzzle, and it's totally wild. Watch out, it's dangerous too, as the well-known villain Wario drops monsters and bombs from the top of the screen. An old friend of Mario's, Toad, now takes a starring role as he works to clear the screen. Like Tetris, Wario's Woods is a captivating puzzle game that keeps getting harder as you move through 100 levels of challenge. The real fun is going head-to-head against your friend in simultaneous play. Lower the ceiling on your opponent and squash him like a tarantula. This action puzzle game is a breed that's never been played before, and Nintendo has it caged. Week 4 of the expedition. We're really sick of the heat, the humidity, the mud, not to mention those obnoxious hedgehogs. I'm getting pretty cranky. I was ready for a fight. That's when we stumbled upon the next sport game sensation for Super NES, Super Punch-Out! Based on the winning arcade game of the same name. Boxing fans will remember Punch-Out from the NES version, but now Super NES offers enormous characters that virtually fill the screen. You'll recognize some of your old favorite foes, plus play against outrageous new ones from all over the globe, each with unique moves, strategies, and wacky animations. This is not just a turbo button punch-out game. You need to be able to block and dodge and learn your opponent's moves. It's survival of the fittest in this hard-hitting sports action game. Boxing is all well and good around the safari campsite, But when you're being charged by a mean-looking rhino, you better be a pretty good aim with a gun. That's why I captured me a hot new target shooting game. Tin Star. I tell you, nothing against mangoes, but I'm beginning to yearn for the good old American wilderness. The Wild, Wild West. Tin Star is a robot sheriff who gets to shoot up the bandits. And players get to aim using any of the Nintendo accessories. The controller, mouse, or best of all, blow them away with a super scope. Kids will love this game, packed with lots of humor and great cartoon animations. Of course, sometimes it's not aim or strength that you need. Just ask any gazelle. Sometimes you gotta run. For all you speed demons, I've got just one word: Uniracers. This game is uniquely fun to play. It's smooth, it's effortless, and it's screaming cheetah fast. Each bike has its own personality, color, and nimble moves. The Silicon Graphics technology provides thousands of fleeting frames of animation, so bikes can actually twist, turn, flip, and bounce. They seem to fly. Lots of levels and multiple play modes means a huge amount of potential playing power and endless variety. So race like the wind. Split-screen action allows for two-player simultaneous play. Plus, the game keeps track of both individual and group scores, promoting lasting interest and ongoing rivalries. As the sun sets on our last day of Safari, I have to admit the guys at Nintendo were right. This has been an amazing journey. We've captured the biggest of the big games, and they're soon to be unleashed on the civilized world. As we tied the cages into the truck, I said, the game-playing world will never be the same again. But the Nintendo guys said, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Tetris 2 is now on Super NES. It's beefier graphics, it's bigger sound, it's 1 or 2 players. You'll get old, but playing it never will. Tetris 2, new on Super NES.
Let's see. You were doing 140 in a 35 zone. Side swiped 3 cars. I believe this bumper belongs to you. Destruction. Carnage. Oh, you didn't use your turn signal, son. I'm gonna have to write you up for that last one.
Stunt Race FX, Super FX chip for multidimensional visual rhythmicity, only on the Super NES.
I think it's every parent's dream, maybe, to have a doctor in the family.
No running, no spitting, no loud music, no skateboarding, no shouting, no gum chewing. Keep off the grass. Do not feed the animals. Have a nice day.
We want to be free. We want to do what we want to do. We want to have a good time. And that's what we're going to do.
The journey into the second half of 1994 begins with the promise of wonderful rewards, as the Nintendo marketing plan guides us to the riches that lie ahead. We hit the treasure trail with $50 million in second half TV advertising. It all starts in June and extends through July with the glittering launch of Super Game Boy and Donkey Kong for Game Boy. Then Super Game Boy shines again in a November-December holiday campaign. Beginning in July and reaching into August, Stunt Race FX finds its fortune. Next, Nintendo's prize sport game, Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Major League Baseball, hits hard-selling home runs during the All-Stars break in July and again during the World Series in October. August and September reveals the sparkling new Tetris 2. And September and October add an extraordinary gem to the advertising treasure chest in a special print campaign for the illusion of Gaia. Then the holiday gold rush begins with Uniracers, receiving a wealth of television support October through November. As our journey nears the year end, new excitement and fabled fortune await us around every corner. In November, Super Punch-Out quickens our pulse, and December brings big surprises with Wario's Woods. But nothing can prepare us for our first glimpse of Donkey Kong Country. The campaign is unleashed in October and roars through December in the largest and most spectacular Nintendo crusade ever, paired with the simultaneous release of Donkey Kong Land for Game Boy, with its own outrageous campaign throughout the same holiday period. And if that's not enough to have players dancing in the streets, Nintendo's wild new image campaign shouts out, "Play it loud," every month, July through December. The power of print continues to play a key role in Nintendo's media strategy throughout the second half. As always, Nintendo Power leads the way, combined with ongoing advertising support every month in all the leading gaming magazines. This, then, is the spectacular second half in both television and print. Altogether, it's over $50 million in nonstop media gold. Combine that with an additional $70 million in annual trade support programs, and we're blazing a trail straight to the top of market share mountain. From there, the next stop is the end of the rainbow for magical merchandising that's just impossible to find anywhere else. And Nintendo will be back with the biggest and best demonstrator program ever in the second half of 1994. And finally, our expedition meets up with the hottest event marketing trek of all time, PowerFest 94. Millions of fans across the country continue to join in the search for the greatest of the great, as everyone competes for the ultimate title. All culminates in the crowning of the video game world champion in November. It's jungle magic. It's amazing discoveries. It's a marketing plan that will pay off with gold. It's the rip-roaring second half of 1994. So get ready to play it loud, because this is the wild new future for you and for Nintendo. Now and always, King of the Jungle.